Hi everybody, my name is Hannah and this is my channel Ladybug Stitches, and today I am doing a mid-year WIP parade. The first one I did of this year was on January 2nd, and this year I have been working towards the goal of getting as many WIPs done as I possibly can. Last year in 2024 I did WIP Mania in May, and I started 16 new projects, and that was really nice at the time. I was able to get a whole bunch of things started, and it just felt really good to get some progress on some things. And now over the past year I have decided that having that many WIPs is not something that I'm really interested in. I prefer to have a much lower WIP count, possibly under 10. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible, but that has been my goal for this year. I started the year at 27 WIPs. So far I have finished 6 of those WIPs and I have started 3, so I think my odds are a little bit good there. I didn't start too many different things, luckily. And a lot of the things I did start were a little, well, I would say like half of them were a little bit small and the other half were kind of big, but I am excited to get going on my WIP parade here. I currently have 24 WIPs. There is a little note I want to make. I do have technically one more WIP. I showed it in my my latest update video. I will not be showing that one today because I'm not counting it as a WIP because it's going to get done really soon, and there are 2 little smalls that would take maybe an hour at most, and I do not feel like adding them to my WIP list. It is my WIP list, it is my rules. And then I do have one more WIP that's technically not my WIP yet, but I do want to share it because it would be a WIP that I would do someday, and I'll explain that at the end. And technically these are all of my embroidery and cross-stitch WIPs. I have so many other craft WIPs that I will not be sharing, but I do have quite a lot of other things going on. So I am going to start my WIP list, my WIP parade. And they are now all in order. I have them all written down in front of me. They are in order, I think, of the oldest being first and the newest being last. And I kind of estimated some of these dates because I wasn't positive. But I do think I have them in about the right order that they would be in from when I started them. So the very first one is my BAP. It is the biggest project I have and hopefully will ever have. This is my avatar mat. It is by Phoenix Designs, and I don't think it's available anymore. I got it on Etsy. I don't have a picture, so here is the picture of what it's supposed to look like. I started this in 2021. And I have the first page fully done, and I'm working on the second page. So this is where I'm at. There we go. The first page ended around here. Maybe it ended down here actually. Yeah, right here ended. And so only this section is left to get done. However, it is a lot of confetti stitches and it is all ocean right here, so it is gonna take me quite a while to get that done. Hopefully you can see it doesn't go down too much further. There's the end. But this is what it's looking like. This is on an 18 count coffee tea dyed fabric with all of the called for flosses, and there are like a lot of flosses, like 200 something flosses for this one. I haven't worked on this one in a little while and I would really like to get back to it, but it is a bear to pull back out. So that's why I don't work on it too much. This is the middle page, and then I just went down one page. So this is the bottom of the project, and then there is one more page up here and then I will reach the top. So that's where I'm at on that one. It is going to take me a little bit of time to try to get all these projects back in their bags, but I don't want to get them all mixed up, so please bear with me on that one. Okay, next is a kit by Design Works Crafts called Holiday Pickups. This was a pattern that my grandma had bought for me, and she bought it knowing that there were 6, so she wanted me to split it with my cousin. We split it as evenly as possible as we could possibly get it. And I think I'm working on the red ones, and I think she's supposed to be doing the blue ones. I think she did one of the trucks and then kind of gave up a little bit. And I think that might be my plan as well. So I am working on this one down here, I believe, with the presents. And I think I'm just going to do that one, and then I'm going to be done. They just don't call to me, and I've been working on it. This was from, I think, 2021. And I don't really want to do 3 of the same trucks, so I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. And I really don't have a lot of progress on this one, if I can find it. It is on canvas, plastic canvas. There we go. And that's about as far as I got. I think I worked on it for like maybe 1 day at the most. I would like to get back to this one. I just have some projects that I want to finish first. And then I think I'm going to try to pull this out just to get this off my WIP list. But, yep, that's where I'm at on that one. I'm going to have a really big mess on the floor, I can already tell. Next is another kit that my grandma gave me. It is by Busilla. It's called Afternoon Nap. And this is what it looks like. It is super, super cute, but it is confetti heavy, and the pattern is not designed too well, and it drives me nuts. So I don't really work on it that much, but I am trying to dedicate a little bit more time. So maybe in a couple years it'll be done. This is on 18 count Aida, and with all the kit flosses and everything, so very nice. I think this one was from like 2021, 2022. It's hard to, I know she gave it to me for Christmas and she passed in 2022, so I can't remember exactly when I started it. Okay, so most of the rest of them are from 2024, except for the last 3 or 4. So if I don't say, they're from 2024. This one was a stitch along by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. It was called the Enchanted Realm stitch along, and it was the stitch along for 2024. And I did not finish it yet, but I am getting so close now. This is where I'm at. The first part were the dragons in the middle, and then we went to the mermaids, and then the fairies, and then I think these are Pegasus at the top. I'm almost done with this section here. I just have the rainbow and the sun, and then one more Pegasus here, and then I can move on to the last 2 sections, which will be over here. So it's going to be finished into a circle, and I'm definitely going to frame this and put it on my wall. I would love to put it in a circle frame. I think that would be really cool. This is on a 14 count fabric that I dyed myself. I dyed it with like a teal and a purple and a dark green and a dark blue and a whole bunch of different colors. It really does not come across well on camera. It is a lot more variegated in person. But I really do love this project. I'm using all the called for flosses, which are all DMC, and I'm really enjoying this project. So I am doing just one for June this year, and this is a possibility of one that I'm gonna get finished in that time. It's just gonna depend on where my vibes are at. If you don't know, go back and watch my last video, and I talked about it in that video. So this one might get done soon, and that would be really nice. These sections stitch up a lot faster than I thought they would. The first few were kind of a little bit slow just because I didn't work on them enough. But once I started going, they were actually pretty quick. So I really do need to get that one done. Next is Bendy Stitchy's Rolodex Morning Sampler. I don't have a picture for the Enchanted Realm stitch along because it was a mystery, so I'm sorry I don't have a picture for that one, but here is a Rolodex Morning Sampler. Hopefully you can see that. This one I started definitely at the very beginning of 2024 last year, right? Yeah, 2024. And this is all I have done so far. I just have the first page done and I'm working on the second page. The other 2 pages over here aren't as aren't a full page, so it won't be as long. But I am working down in the gate down here with all the grass. I would really like to pull this one out again. Like, part of my thing is if I get all these projects, like a lot of these projects done, then I can focus on bigger projects like this to get them closer to a finish, because I just don't have the time to pull this out as much as I'd like. But I would really like to pull this one out more. So that is where I'm at on that one. This is on an 18 count coffee tea dyed Ada that I dyed extra crispy. So there are a lot of burnt marks on it, and I'm using the called for DMC flosses. I really, really like this one and I really want to get it framed on my wall, but not enough time in the day, I guess. Okay. I took the time and went through all these and took them out of all of their hoops too, so I don't have to spend the time doing that at least. Next is a series by Country Cottage Needleworks. It is the Big City Christmas series. I am working on the first one that I've started from the series, which is the music hall. I'm just going to show you where I'm at on this one, and then I'll show you all of them. So this is the music hall, which is what I'm working on. Then we have the street scene, the theater, the restaurant, the department store, the toy store, and the hotel. So this is where I'm at on the music hall. There you go. These are on, I think, I can't remember what count this fabric is. It might be 18 or it might be 14. I can't remember. Probably a 14, but I could be wrong. It is coffee tea dyed, so it is a little bit smaller than it should be anyway. And I am not doing the border at the top because I'm probably going to finish this into a stand-up. That's what I'm thinking right now, at least. I'm not going to finish any of these until I have fully stitched all of them, so I still have a couple years to go before I finish any of them. But I am so close to a finish on this one. I just have to finish the bottom of the house, add the ground, and the 2 little dancers over here, and the back stitching. And that'll be it. So this is a just one for June project that I'm going to work on next. So hopefully this one can get done. I really do love this series. This is like the first Country Cottage Needle series that I went, oh, I really need to stitch that. So this is my first one. And I really, really want to keep going on these. I'm so excited about these. I am using the called for DMC alternatives. So no fancy flosses for me. Okay. Let me put this all away. Okay. Get a drink. Okay, this next one is a free series by Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting. I have called it the Farm series, but I don't know if it has a real name or not. And it is, there are 3 for spring, and there are 3 for summer that are like the same, just a different version for summer. And then I also have the hen house in here. So this is a big series that I'm going to work on, and I'm on the first one, which is this one. It's going to kind of look like that. I am kind of close to a finish on this one. That border is going to probably take a while, but I was working on this one, and this was going to be a just one for June finish, but I realized I didn't have the right blue, and then I was getting mad at it, so I put it away, and I'm not sure when this one's going to get finished. I really do like the patterns, but it just never calls to me to stitch on, which is really disappointing. So this one just lingers for quite a while. So that is that. I wish, I don't know if I can really show you too well what each of the patterns are going to look like because they're free patterns. So it's like that, and then there's different versions of them for summer. Okay. These are all on 14 count fabrics that I dyed. They're all different colors, and I'm just using flosses that I have that are not labeled or anything. So, okay. Next is, I love this bag so much. It is my cat bag. This was a towel and I made it into a project bag. And this is the bag that I keep all of the designs that I have designed, but I want to stitch for myself. They are not tied to my designs that I sell or anything. I will probably end up posting these on my blog. If you're interested, I do have a bunch of free patterns on my blog, which is listed down below. But these are projects that are usually sentimental to me, or just whatever, really. These are projects that I personally want to work on for myself. And yeah. So the first one is what I have called my cat sampler. And this is what it's gonna look like. These are all of my barn cats that I've had over the many years. And I'm doing this in honor of them to kind of memorialize them, so I can remember them forever, I guess. And this is where I'm at so far. I'm on the second row and I'm almost done with a cat named Noseboob. And then I have 2 more cats in this row. I'll kind of go closer a little bit. If you're interested and want to learn more about each of these cats, I do talk about them when I finish them, and I share pictures so you can see the similarities between their cross-stitch version and their real selves. This is on a 14 count coffee tea dyed Ada that's very loosely tea dyed, and I'm using DMC flosses for this. I have another version that I have to make someday with the rest of my cats, and that's why I really kind of want to push on this one. I'm probably going to say I really want to stitch on this. I know a lot of people say that when they're going through their WIP parades. I really want to stitch on this. I really want to stitch on that. There's just not enough time in the day, which is so true. Like, you obviously start all these projects because you really want to stitch on them all, and there's just not enough time in the day to stitch on them all. Also in this bag is a project that is in memory of my rooster that passed away. And this is the only version of the paper that I have, and it is got blue highlighter on it, but you can use your imagination. This is Little Cam, and I've already stitched this once for my brother, who the rooster was named after. And then this is where I'm at so far. I really have not stitched on this at all that much. I needed to give myself a break, I guess, because I stitched it once already, and now I have to stitch it again for myself. But I am almost done with the white. I just have the wing down here in the white, and then I can move onto all of the black. This is also on a 14 count coffee tea dyed Ada with DMC flosses. This one will definitely be posted to my blog. I don't think it's already on there, but I will definitely be posting that to my blog if anybody wants to stitch that one. And then I have another project in here, but it's not started, but it's also sentimental, and I can't wait to start that one as well. Okay. We're up to number 10. This is Plum Street Samplers Sirens Tart. It's called Jack's Sweet Shop Sirens Tart. I love mermaids, so of course I had to stitch this one. This was a mania start like many of these were, but that's as far as I got. It was a mania start and then I stopped. This is the tail of the mermaid, and I really have not stitched on it. I swear I did it like one day and that was it. This is a 14 count Ada that I dyed with like blue and brown, it looks like. I dyed this specifically for this project because I wanted it to look like it was a bit underwater and muddy and kind of primitive a little bit. So, and I'm using, I don't think I'm using the call for flosses. I think I'm just using random flosses. Yeah, just random flosses. It's been that long, I don't even remember what I'm stitching on. I would like to get back to this one as soon as I get a whole bunch of projects done. Okay. Next is a Mirabelia, but this one was a free one that I found on, I think, their website. It is called Me a Mermaid, and it was for the 2017 Australian Mirabelia retreat. I'm gonna flash it really quick, but that's what it's looking like, or what it's going to look like. It is not looking like that right now. This one I also worked on for like one day and then put it down, and that was about it. I just got like a little bit of her torso and then like the little beads that come off of it. Did not get very far, but I did dye this one specifically for this project as well, I think, or something similar. It's a 14 count, and I don't even know what colors I used really. And I'm not using the called for flosses, I'm just using whatever I have. This one is really intimidating because I didn't write down which colors I was using for which called for flosses I was using, and I got a whole bunch of beads and I don't know where they're going either. So this one I have to like sit with and try to remember what I was doing. But it'll sit for probably quite a while until I pull it back out again. Okay. Next is an embroidery project. This was a set of 3 projects that my cousin gifted to me for my birthday. I am working on the first one, which it doesn't have a name, but I think the brand is Lucan Box. You can find them on Amazon, I'm pretty sure. But this is what it's going to look like. She got it for me because she knows I love sunflowers and I love bees. So this was perfect. This is like one of my first embroidery projects, so it was a little bit intimidating, but it's going pretty well so far, I think. It is printed on this fabric, and I have the bee wings and a little butt, and then these leaves, and then this is all French knots in here, and those were killing my hands, so I think that's why I put it down. And then this whole section here is going to be French knots as well in a different color, and like all these circles down here are also going to be French knots. So it is a lot of French knots, which at least I know how to do them, but I don't think I've pulled this out this entire year. I just stitched on it a couple days last year, and that was about it. But it's so pretty, and I have 2 more that go in this set, and then she also gifted me a cat version of this as well, so I really got to do them too. But it is so pretty. I'm using everything from the kit for that one, so. Okay. Next is a Prairie Schooler called Double Double, and this is where I'm at. Oops. They all have needles. Most of the time sometimes I meet halfway through a stitch and then I just stick my needle in there, and that's that. So they all have like floss hanging from them. I am working on the first lady here, and I got a little bit of the steam coming off the cauldron, and that's it. This is a 14 count hand dyed Ada that I dyed myself, orange and green. And I'm not using the called for flosses, I don't think. No, I'm just using what I have. But I'm pretty sure it is 310 and a gray and an orange that I happen to have. So this one is deceptively a lot of stitching. It looks really small. It's only 75 stitches wide by 97 stitches high. So it's like 5 inches, but it is a lot of stitching actually. So that's where I'm at on that one. I think that might be like my first Prairie Schooler that I've really done. And I would like to do more. Okay, next is, this is a Christmas WIP. I will not be pulling this out until I do my Christmas ornament stitching, which I usually start around November 1st. So this will be a WIP until then, and I have no problem with that being a WIP. If you are new here, I do ornament stitching from November 1st until Christmas or like just after Christmas. I'm trying to find the page that it's on. Hold on, I can't think and look at the same time apparently. Okay, so if you're new here, I do ornament stitching from November 1st until like December 31st. I have a video going through all of my ornaments. I think I did it last year. You can go back on my YouTube page and you can find it there. I'm at just over 100 little ornaments, I think, and I love adding more every year. I love doing really small ornaments, and they usually try to not to go bigger than like 4 or 5 inches. So these are all really small and really quick and easy to do. Technically, I don't have a WIP to show you because I finished the last one that I was stitching, but I do count it as a WIP because it is, I don't finish it until I get all of them done. It is in the Cross Stitcher Magazine, Volume 7, Number 5. And I don't know what year it's from. 1990, I think, maybe. And these are what they look like. It's kind of hard to see, but they are really small ornaments. There are actually 6, and the one that I did isn't shown. I couldn't find a picture of it in this magazine at all for some reason. But these are the 5 that I have left to do. And I am stitching them on a 14 count coffee tea dyed Aida, and they're all pretty small. And then I'll turn them into little pillow ornaments. So that will stay until Christmas time. This magazine actually has a couple really cute Christmas patterns that I probably might stitch in the future. So that's pretty fun. And the next one is another Country Cottage Needleworks pattern called Pie Menu. That's what it looks like. And so far, I have, it's upside down, and I threw it on the ground. Okay, this way. Sorry, it's a little see-through. I don't have anything to hold behind it, really. But this is what it looks like. I have all of the words done so far, and I'm starting the border on the side. I really love this pattern. I'm actually doing felt pies to go along with all of these different pies. So that's another WIP that I won't share, but it is like another craft WIP that I have. I really like this pattern, but it just doesn't call to me. It's on an 28 count even weave or something. It's like really thin. It's not something I normally like to stitch on, but I had it and I figured I might as well use it on this. So that's where I'm at, and I think I have to find another red because I'm running out of red because I'm using just flosses that I have. I'm not using the called for. So I think I put this away for that reason. It is a little bit of annoying to stitch on just because it is so see-through. And I was really worried about my threads traveling, and I think that's another reason that I put it away for a while. But that's where I'm at on that one. Okay. Okay. We are at number 16. This one is a free stitch along by Cute Embroidery by Kate, also known as Kate Stitcher. If you want to, she has a whole bunch of free patterns on her Facebook group, which I think it's Cute Embroidery by Kate. It's something like that. If you search that, you should be able to find it. She does a whole bunch of free stitch alongs where it's like groups of 4 little patterns. This was her one for spring last year, and it is the Camping Sow, and this is what it looks like. So these are mock-ups, and these 3 are blurry because this was the first release, and that's when I printed this picture out, but this is the one I'm on right now. And they're full coverage. She usually doesn't do full coverage stitch alongs like this, but she decided to do it for this one, and I knew immediately that I was not going to be able to keep up, and I just pretty much dropped it. This is 1 day of stitching, and that's about where I said, yep, I'm good for a while. I would still really like to stitch these because I want to have a camping theme display sometime, but this is where I'm at on this one. And there's a thread hanging. These are all on 14 count coffee tea dyed Ada with some flosses that I just pulled. And I feel like they're not going to be a lot of stitching, but it is a lot of full coverage. So that is what pulls me back from stitching on this one. Okay. But they're really cute. And I really like all of her stitch alongs. And I wish I had the time to stitch on them all because a lot of them are cat themed. And if you know me, I love my cats. So, okay. The next one is by Quarry About to Quarry. It is Say Pear Sonaggi and Charcuterie Halloween. And this is what it looks like. I also do not have a WIP to show you with this one because I just finished my first one. I finished this witch over here. You can go back and watch my video from literally 2 days ago if you want to see my finish on that one. I haven't fully finished it yet, but I'm going to finish them all into stand-ups. I think they're so cute, but I am modifying them slightly. I'm not doing the border, and I'm leaving some little squiggly thingies out, so that's that. They're all being stitched on 14 count fabrics that I dyed myself. They're all different colors. I have them all organized, and I wrote down which ones are for which person. So I will not be starting the next one for a little while, but I do also consider this a WIP still because I am going to stitch them all, and they're all kitted up. So it is my list, my rules. Oh, I finished my bag. Now I have my tote left. Okay. Number 18 is a stamped cross stitch kit called 5 Kittens by Joy Sunday Cross Stitch. This is what it's gonna look like. This was a kit that my cousin gave to me, and I am so close to a finish on it. Look at that. All I have left to stitch is this cat over here and all of the yellow, which is gonna be black. And then I have some back stitching and some French knots to add, and then I'm done with it. This is a really fun project to pull out if I'm doing stuff outside and I just want to sit and stitch for a while, because it is stamped, so the key card is down here, so I don't need to have a whole bunch of papers with me. I can just have everything in my bag and I could just leave it out, and I just need to know this. So it is really nice because it the wind won't blow my pattern away, and I could just look on here and stitch. This will be washed once I'm done, and then I will be framing it for sure. It is super cute. This is on an 11 count, so I have to use 3 strands of floss, which was something I've never had to do before, but it was really interesting to figure it out. This is a possibility to get done for just one for June. It is either this one or the Enchanted Realm stitch along, or maybe both if I get them both done in time. But yeah, I'm super excited to get this one done. Okay. And we're getting there, almost done. This one is also one that I have no WIP to show. This is another Christmas one. It is called Santa's Helpers by Charlene Hugh, and they're all little elves. It is an older pattern by 1980. So I have stitched 2 of these so far. These are another Christmas ornaments that I will be doing around Christmas time. I have stitched this little guy on the tricycle and this guy holding the bear up here. So I do have quite a few left to stitch, but I'm gonna pepper them throughout of all of my other stitching. So they're all gonna be on different colors of 14 count Ada, which I have dyed. It is a nice way to use up little scraps of fabric, and I will finish them all into little pillow ornaments. So that's all I got to show you for this one, just like the other one, but I am super excited to get back to these. I am really feeling all the Christmas vibes right now for some reason. Okay, I can flip the page in my notebook. Next is Jolly Old St. Nicholas by West Point Designs. There are 17 different Santas on here, and I will, I think, be doing them all. I started with the Santa up here, which is traditional Santa, and I'm going to be stitching them all as stand-ups on 14 count coffee tea dye Ada, and this is where I'm at on this Santa. All I have left is his head. If you saw my last video, I still had his feet, but I finished his feet up yesterday, and now I'm just left with the head. They all have sacks of toys around them, but it's just a brown bag, and I decided I wasn't going to stitch all that. I didn't think it was very necessary, so I am leaving that off. There is a tiny little bit of back stitching on his face, and then that's it. I think he's super cute, and I am going to finish him as stand-up, so I'm going to have a whole bunch of little Santas around Christmas time. I think that'll be so cute. So excited about this one. This is on, this is actually using the called for flosses. Most everything else, unless I said, is not using the call for flosses. So, this was going to be a WIP for a really long time, I believe. Okay. And now I just have 2025 WIPs, which is exciting. The first one I started in the new year was the 2025 Just Cross Stitch Magazine Stitch Along. So this is in the spring edition. And I am stitching Nature's Journey by Sprouting Lupine. And this is what it'll look like, and I'm up here, oops, in the spring section. The summer section has been released already, but I am only working on the spring section for now. Hopefully, I'm like halfway through this section, so hopefully I can start the summer section before the summer is over. Okay. This is on an 18 count coffee tea dyed Ada. And I am using the called for flosses. So this is where I'm at. It does cut off here, so I have it folded just to the edge pretty much. But that's where I'm at. What else do I say about this? I'm really excited for this project to be done, because I really want to display it. It is just really, really pretty, and it does make me so happy. But I just don't have the time to pull it out all the time, which is really sad. And a lot of the flosses are like scattered throughout all of my other bags. So I sometimes have to like make sure that when I'm stitching this, I'm stitching it in a spot where all of my other bags are, that I can easily get to them. So it does kind of limit when I can stitch on it as well. And this is what it's going to look like when it's, you know, it's pretty big. But it's so gorgeous and it's so exciting. I love it so much. Okay. Next is something I literally just started pretty much. It is called Winter's Delight, and this is a crewel embroidery project, but I'm turning it into just an embroidery project. It's by Paragon Needlecraft, and it's from 1976. It was a kit that I was gifted, or passed down to, I guess, and I fell in love with it immediately, and I haven't been able to pull it out because I've been really nervous to stitch on it, and I finally decided to just go ahead and start it. I changed all the flosses to, it is Pearl Cotton number 5 by DMC, and number 5 or number 8, I can't remember. It's one of those. I have both of them. Instead of the wool yarn, because the wool yarn was from 1976 and it was gross. So I changed them all out. And I'm not very far on it. It is a stamped embroidery project, so it is massive. And I'm just down here. I finished the cardinals, and then I'm working on the sledding kits. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm so happy to start working on it, but it's a little bit nerve-wracking just because I haven't learned how to do all this before. And I'm kind of learning as I go, and I really don't want to mess it up because it's just so pretty. And I really just have this in a Ziploc bag. I'm like midway through making like 15 different project bags, and I've been working on them for months, and that's where they've been. So that's another part of my craft WIP list that never goes down at all. Okay, I have 2 more. This is the bag that I keep all of my model stitches in, and my current model stitch is a Halloween piece. And this bag constantly rotates with the different model stitches that I have. So it is going to be on my WIP list for as long as I design patterns. And I just put model stitches as the name. So this is where I'm at for this one. I do show which model stitch I'm working at the time on when I make my regular update videos. So if you're interested in getting sneak peeks on that, you can go and watch all of my regular update videos. But this bag is full of a whole bunch of model stitches that I'm going to start, and all of the flosses that I use, and all of the things that I need for that. So this bag is always a WIP, and probably always will be a WIP. And the last WIP that I have to show you is something I just started this morning. And I hope to get it done before 4th of July. It is the 4th of July round by Primrose Cottage. This is a free pattern. If you join her email newsletter, you get a free pattern every month, and this was the one for June. And I needed a project to fit on this box. I just finished a project on the blue box version of this one I have, and I really wanted one that would go on this red box. So this is like perfect, except it's just way too big for the box. So when I was going through everything, I decided to finish it on, or stitch it on the same fabric that I stitched the other one on, which I stitched Miss July by Sweet Wing Studio on the other one. So I wanted to stitch it on the same fabric, which is a 32 count Lugana by Witch Holt. And if I stitched this one on that fabric, it was too big. So I decided to stitch it over one, and I'm probably crazy. It is super, super tiny, but it is so pretty. Sorry about the noises. I do have my window open, and sometimes we get some really loud trucks going by. It is very annoying, but I just have to deal with it. Sorry about that. It's way too hot to keep the windows closed for today. Anyway, so that's where I got to this morning. It is really small. My eyes were having a little bit of trouble, and I have younger eyes. And I probably should get a magnifying glass, honestly, but this is where I'm at, and I'm hoping to get this one done before 4th of July. So this is trumping some of my just one for June projects, just so I can get it done in time. But those are all of my WIPs on my WIP list. And like I said, I do have one more thing to show you. This is not a WIP, but it is a WIP, but it's not my WIP. So my mom taught me how to cross stitch when I was really young. She used to do a whole bunch of cross stitching. I'm gonna have to show you one of her projects that she's done before. She did a lot of gorgeous work. She liked to do hummels, and she liked to do like scenes, I guess, like different nature kind of scenes. She's done a couple birth samplers and wedding samplers and some like fun pieces. All of them were pretty big. They're all like 8 by 10s or something. Like, you know, it's like a full-size picture frame. I need to show you guys some of her stuff that she's done because it is really pretty. She has not stitched probably in like 20 years, honestly. Her eyes do not allow that, and she also got the hand problems that I also have. So she has not stitched in probably 20 years. But one of the last projects she was working on is called Spirit of Spring by Burton Dyes. This is what it's supposed to look like. I don't have a date on this one, but it is older. And she told me the reason she stopped working on this was because she was in the tree and she messed it up and got off somewhere and then got mad and then gave up and never picked it back up again. So this is where she's at. It's interesting because there is a lot of white like in the house and the railing and the sidewalk. None of that is stitched, which I thought was a bit odd, but it is really gorgeous. She gave it to me and said I could finish it for her if I wanted to. If not, she was never going to finish it, so it could just languish kind of. I haven't had the desire or energy or time to pick this one up yet. She gave it to me like probably 10 years ago at this point, and I don't know where she messed up, and I think I would start in the house instead because she's kind of in the railing here. So I think I could go off of that and go into the house and then kind of work my way out to the tree, because it's just a lot of green and I feel like you can just kind of fudge that after a while. But it is huge and it's just not something I want to tackle yet. But this is a future WIP, and it does sit in my WIP basket. So that is why I'm showing it, just because it does sit in there all the time. And I do question whether or not I should call it a WIP or not, but I haven't pulled the trigger on that yet. But it's really gorgeous, and she does some really good work. Maybe one day. It also has a lot of age spots on it, so that's also kind of why I'm like, it's white. Like I have to leave the white empty, but I also feel like I should try to get my own white to try to fill that in, because I'm a little bit afraid to wash it just in case. And there are a lot of age spots on it, so I might have to pull out my own white and fill that in instead. So anyway, that just sits in there. I have all of her stuff too that she used for it, like her pencil and her hoop and everything. I've just kept it all together. I did take her scissors out because I needed a pair of scissors, but those are all of my WIPs. My cross stitch and embroidery WIPs at least. Maybe one day I could show you a whole bunch of my craft projects, but I have like, I was sewing a dress, I have paper piecing project, I have a needle book project, and I've had so many different projects that, crochet projects. I'm like making like 3 different sweaters and shirts and stuff. Maybe one day I would share those all, but I did want to just give you a mid-year update. And hopefully I can get this WIP down a little bit more. WIP list down. I am at 24, and like I said, I started the year at 27. So I am down a couple, and I did finish 6 projects. I am making my way through them, and yeah. So that's about it, and I will see you guys all in a couple weeks. I hope you all enjoy the other mid-year WIP parades. I'm certainly enjoying them all, and I will see you then. Bye!